Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Laureli Shimayo, and this is MeWe Fairs for energizing body, mind, heart, and soul. We have events throughout the Northwest, many online. Today's our awakening panel online. We're here in Zoom with everyone. We have a panel that is spotlighted, and we have our audience. And the theme, every panel has a theme, and the theme today is finding peace. That might be finding peace in your relationships, your community, around the globe, and then also in yourself, and so many other ways that we're going to talk about finding and creating peace tonight. There are 7 of us on the panel. We'll be introducing ourselves and chatting about the theme. And practitioners, we didn't talk about this ahead of time. If you can, just talk about you in the beginning. So you're going to do intros. So 2 minutes just talking about you. Maybe I'll jump in if we start talking about peace before we finish our introductions. So talk about just you. And then we're going to come around and we'll talk about finding peace again. And then for all of you in the audience, it's for asking us questions tonight. It's great if your question is somehow connected to finding peace. It might be about finding peace in you or your relationships or your community, or it might be your stress about what's going on in the world and how you do this in the world, or anything. And it might not be about finding peace. We may even find a way that your question being about something else, we wind it back into finding peace. So we cover anything tonight, and the theme is finding peace. All right. And it's a personal question. It's going to be the best thing. So as you listen to the practitioners introduce themselves, you might get more ideas of what kind of question you might ask. All right. Well, maybe let's go in an order that's similar to before, if everyone's ready for that. I think we did, let's see. I think we did Karen, Joy, DoveLight, Crystal, Yashu'a, and Paige, and then me. And so just talking about yourself this first round. Go ahead, Karen, and I'll time. And maybe I'll bring Lila up on me on screen if you get too close to your 2 minutes. All right, go ahead.
Can you hear me now before I start? Okay, great. Thank you. So my name is Karen Coccia with KarenCoccia.com, and I am an intuitive quantum healer. I am what I call a soul alignment coach, and I work with clients one-on-one, and I also hold a private group that's a year-long journey, and I'm dabbling into some more classes. But basically, I work mainly with women to really cut out all the stuff that isn't them and connect them to all of their power, their purpose, what they came here for, really light them up in life. So I am actually trained in 3 different Reiki modalities. I have quantum healing in my toolbox. I have intuition that I've had and my psychic abilities that have been on since I was super young and super sensitive to all of these things and didn't realize that that wasn't the norm. And I just have a really conversational session with clients when I work with them one on one. And it's kind of like sitting down, having a cup of tea with an old friend. And we just explore what's coming up for you, what's going on in your life, how you're feeling. And we track through and we figure out, are you holding emotions? Where is this pain coming from? Why is this cycle resurfacing? Oftentimes, we'll jump into Akashic records, we'll do emotional release, we'll do some mindset shifts and reprogramming to get you out of those stories. Because as you repeat a story, you just reinforce it further and further and further in your mind. And every belief that we have, our brain is programmed to prove that it's true. So as we start to release all of the projections, all of the ancestral trauma, all of the things that kind of have conglomerated onto us and our fields and our viewpoints on life, we get so much clarity on who we actually are and get to live a much more peaceful, I'm going to say about peace, much more peaceful life, and one that really lights you up and excites you. And you get to start to be the co creator of your life with the universe. And things start to work out. I'm getting goosebumps. Things start to work out for you in a way that, maybe you never felt possible before. And one of the favorite things that I have about my business and working with clients is just seeing the phenomenal shift and what is possible in our lives when we let go of all of the limitations that we either have placed on ourselves or have had placed on us. and start to really live from a place of authentic expression and caring about ourselves first and foremost. So again, I'm Karen Coccia. I'm really excited to be here tonight. Thank you so much.
And I wasn't watching my watch, so everyone go ahead and take 2.5 minutes. And Joy is next.
Thank you, Laureli. My name is Joy Lee, and I'm an intuitive, sensitive energy healer, certified in Hand Mudras, which are an energy healing modality similar to Reiki. And mudras can be done remotely and can be used to address all manner of physical, mental, and energetic issues. I also work with stem cell therapy patches, phototherapy patches, which address issues, all kinds of issues similar to other energy healing modalities. I also do oracle cards, and I have, that's actually, I'll probably be pulling some cards tonight, and I have a couple of event specials in the chat, and you can reach me at 805-450-7180 or at joyfullove144@gmail.com. And I'm very excited to be here tonight, and look forward to working with you all. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Joy. All right, I think DoveLight is next.
Oh, hello, everybody. Hello. I'm DoveLight from DoveLightOracle.com, and I'm very honored and grateful to be here. I'm a very intuitive person. I was born with a connection to spirit, as many beautiful people are here. I'm also just a regular person, a child of the divine. I am what I am, but I do have a passion for spirituality, and I feel that I do right now a lot of tarot and oracle reading, but I just to get a focus, and I can actually read the elements as well and energies. I can read that very easily. But what I love about reading is that sometimes you just need clarity, a divine insight, divine perspective. And this is what I love, what I do when I'm reading people, because I'm not only reading the tarot, what I'm allowed to do, if it's for your highest good, I can enter into your soul frequency field, and I start getting information from the ancestors, from a past life, from the inner child, the inner wound, ancestral, related to your question or your intention. You can come with me with a question, or have not a specific question for a specific answer, or just a regular question, or just the energy. It's good. That's just to know the energy. To change it, to shift it, to clear it, I have past life regression, ancestral healing modalities, light of the soul retrieval. I love Bogle One destruction. I have many things. But basically, yeah. And I have a special. Today. I'm leaving the link in the chat. I have a special fundraising next week with the midwife. They're gonna, from Guatemala, the indigenous people, they're gonna have a talk for an hour online through Zoom, and it's by donation. Only for the MeWe community. If you send me the screenshot of your donation, you can have a free 10-minute readings with me, or a free energy healing session. They're very powerful, and they're very beautiful. And yeah, I'm very excited to be here. I'm very grateful. So looking forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much, DoveLight. And Crystal's next, I think.
Hi, everyone. I'm Crystal Novak. I'm a psychic reader and also energy worker. I've been doing this work for a little over 40 years. Grew up in a very traumatic household. Narcissists, alcoholism, sexual abuse, the whole trifecta there. And my gift made it a lot easier, if you will, because I could see stuff and know stuff, which helped me be able to hang in there and get on the other side. I love doing this work because every time I work with someone, spirit comes through and we have a chance to sit in that energy, and the information that comes through is always something to help that person heal. That's the whole point of what I do. The name of my business is the Open Heart Path, and that's what I believe in. When we align ourselves, our head and our heart, that's where that transmutation takes place, is when we keep our heart open and are able to allow ourselves to love ourselves, and the other stuff begins to clear off. I can look at any question that you want to ask, with the exception of asking me about the future, because if I could do that, I would have the lottery numbers right here. The future doesn't exist yet. We make it one moment at a time. So I can look at something that you've put into motion and give you some information about that. But other than that, everything else is possible to get information about. I work with the Christ compassion energy, Christ consciousness energy, and your spirits, angels, guides, helpers, teachers, masters, passed on loved ones, ancestors, same from my side. Whoever is coming forward with the information, it just depends on what's going on and what you need to hear in the moment. Yeah, that's all I got. Looking forward to doing the work tonight. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Crystal. Yashua's next.
Yes, I am everything that Crystal said I was.
Glad I could help you out.
I am Yashu'a Eloheem, and I am the co-founder of Sunco for Divinity. If you want to contact me, you can always reach me at Sunco for Divinity at outlook.com. I specialize in spiritual health and wellness. I am a Reiki master teacher. I do oracle mediumship and a mental practitioner. I like to think that I am a protege of Ernest Holm, who is the founder of Science of Mind, a protege of Dr. Caroline Mice, who is also a protege of Carl Jung, where we deal with the archetypes and different types of energies that we're born, that we bring into this three-dimension atmosphere, if you will. I am heavily in love with developing and cultivating the soul so that it can reach its highest and greatest potential. I am a lover of the soul. And we all need peace. And I do understand, and I know without a shadow of a doubt that all of that peace and everything that we so desire begins and ends with us. There's nothing outside of us that can suffice or assist us on the things that we really need. We are the source in which we seek. And that's what I'm here to do, is to help establish that relationship with one's divinity.
Great, thank you so much. Paige.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for allowing me to be in this space today. My name is Paige Altmann. I am the founder of Merkaba Awakening. It is my business to help women specifically connect more to themselves, to their yoni energy, to their goddess energy, and to create spaces for women to look at their darkness and find light within themselves and face their traumas and be able to clear that energy. I do Reiki. I also create workbooks, different healing workbooks for different things that I have focus on, mostly like connecting to your menstrual cycles, connecting to your, again, yoni energy, to loving yourself in that full capacity. I also create ceremonies to help women connect to themselves, to really stagnant old energy or energy that's not theirs, like a lot of these other healers do. I also focus a lot of my work on womb trauma, specifically birth trauma or sexual trauma, things like that, to help women kind of hold their hand as they walk through that so they don't have to walk alone. And yeah, I'm very excited to be here today. I have a special as well for anyone who is here. If you do peace on my Etsy page, which I put in the chat, you'll get 10% off any of my workbooks or workshops that I've created. And mine was a little short, but that's what I have for you guys today.
Great, thanks so much. I'm Laureli Shimayo. I'm an intuitive eye reader, body psychology coach, and matchmaker. I read your eyes just like I believe we all read each other's eyes all the time. When we can't see someone's eyes, there's so much missing. And as soon as we see their eyes, there's so much there. So I use a set of archetypes to describe what I see in you. So I'm describing your soul, your purpose, and I answer questions about your growth lessons, where you are in your lessons and how to move through them, your career path, relationships that you're in, if you show me photos of other people in your life so I can see their eyes. And I love to use this work for matchmaking as well to help you find a soulmate. I use body psychology to help you be more aware of what you're experiencing in your body right now. And there are so many different ways to use your body to shift and move forward. There are exercises you can do, things you can say while you're moving your body, just all kinds of different things. I'm a huge fan of people being authentic and real and true to themselves, even when it's messy. Even when at times it would feel hard, I find it so much easier to be myself in the world and be comfortable being myself in the world. And my aim is to help everyone do that. And for all of us, including me, to keep peeling off layers and layers of ways that we are not yet fully who we are. And that's about me. You can find out more about my matchmaking at matchmakingsoulmates.com. I have drop-in events regularly. I have a book, The Sweet Spot, on the 7 talents that I read in people's eyes, and I think my special is 20% off that. And well, yeah, there's just all these different MeWe events that I have going on. And I do authentic relating, and I have a couple of authenticity circles coming up too. I'll put those in the chat in a moment. All right, so that's me. I think we're going to go back around and we're going to talk about the theme now, the theme being finding peace. So we're going to start off with Karen, and yeah, so go ahead, take another minute or two, whatever feels like a good easy flow, and yeah, we'll come all around and yeah.
All right. So as I alluded to in my introduction, peace is actually, can you not hear
Just
me again?
get a little close. I think you have to get a little closer to your microphone, and then we can hear you better.
I'm supposed to be connected to this thing.
I don't know that it is.
Really? Okay.
Let's,
I will speak really loud, and then I'm going to play around with my settings because that's the whole reason I'm wearing these earbuds right now.
well, do you want us to switch and go to someone else first, and we can play? I know,
Yeah,
because happy
that
does
would be
the
great.
sound.
Thank you.
I just check your audio settings and see if it's really going through that microphone. That would be one thing, and then see if it's automatically changing, volume. All right, you're gonna switch. Okay, cool. All right, let's see. I think it was Joy. Are you ready to go next? Is that okay? Finding peace.
Okay, thank you, Lorelei. Well, actually, this is I really relate to this topic, and I'm really happy to be part of this panel because finding peace is definitely central to my own journey. And it's something that I strive for and am very happy to help other people find on their journey. So I hope very much to be able to do that tonight, and look forward to meeting everyone. Thank you.
And I guess if you could just maybe, can you say a little bit more about finding peace and like what is meant to you and like how peace has and hasn't shown up in your life and part of your openness and growth as a practitioner. And it's okay. I'm just trying to help you say more.
Oh, sure. Thank you. Well, I have to say, a number of years ago, there was a period of a lot of metaphysical activity in my life, and it was really quite something. And I found that that's when I took up hand mudras, and I found a lot of peace doing that. They are extremely effective. In fact, working with other people, I find that they are very good at also alleviating, really actually alleviating pain and things like that. And I know, like, I can feel physical flow when I do them myself. So I think I'm really excited about hand mudras and energy work, and all the other practitioners, because it's this kind of work is very exciting. I think, you know, energy work is the future, and people are just finding out more about it now. I think that, you know, the recent hearings about UFOs and are very interesting, because I think that they're very much on the similar wavelength as a lot of the spiritual healing. And I think it all has to do with peace and love. And it's a continual journey that I very much believe in, and am happy to help others find. Thank you.
Great. Thanks so much, Joy. I'll put your information in the chat right now too. All right, Karen, let's see if we can hear you better.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, we hear you so well now. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Sorry. Thank you for your patience with me there. Sorry about that. Okay, so peace has been a really, really big part of my life. As I alluded to earlier, when I was a little child, my gifts were turned on and up, and I was an incredibly anxious child. I had trouble sleeping at night. If I wasn't astral traveling, I was up in the middle of the night, unable to sleep. I actually remember my parents buying me all of these cassette tapes, trying to find ways for me to learn to relax. At 8 years old, what did I have to be so stressed out about, right? I got to a point where I was actually panic breathing and I could never get in a full breath. And it was years and years and years and years that I struggled with this. As I got into my teen years, I was diagnosed with anxiety and depression, and not saying that those are not real, but for me personally, what I've discovered through my healing is that all of that was really because I had no way of releasing all of the stuff that I kept absorbing from everybody around me. And so I spent all of my 20s trying to figure out how the heck I could figure out how to find peace in my life. And it wasn't until my late 20s that I started really discovering, like, oh, yoga really helps. Oh, these breathing techniques help. And then I started to get into Reiki, and then releasing all of this stuff that my body had been carrying. And it has just completely transformed my life. And now in my 40s, I'm able to recognize, okay, I've got some emotions I need to release right now. And I actually, and I work with clients with this too. Oh no, it's not going to show up. Oh, well, I'll talk about it.
Put it right in front of your face, and you might have to like stand up a little bit. So yeah, we can see it.
Does it show?
Oh, pull it.
Kind of.
Put it, yeah, it's a feelings wheel.
So this is an emotion wheel. I'm going to put it down now. And it just, sorry that it's not clear, but it shows all of a range of emotions that we could feel. And I'm sorry, I don't remember which one of you guys mentioned it, but that awareness is so key. So once you have the awareness of what's going on in your body, and Laureli, you talked about that too, having that awareness of what's going on in your body. It's that awareness is really that linchpin to start releasing. And it's really the methodology behind how you release it is almost like minuscule in terms of the getting it out. It's that awareness. And then however you want to get it out, however you want to release it, but you can start to find peace by getting rid of all of the stuff that you're carrying around and absorbing and everything. And so for me and my experience and my practice, peace is always an inside job, because as long as we are telling ourselves stories or we are calling in things because of the words that we are spelling, we're going to manifest that kind of reality for ourselves. And so there are so many tools, and I made some notes, but you know, whether it's moving or writing and journaling, or it's getting in a shower and just setting that intention of, okay, this emotion needs to go and this emotion needs to go, or painting or petting a pet, I got to go. There's a lot of ways to find peace.
We'll come back around and see if anyone has more to share too. So you're welcome to share a little bit more. That's great. All right, cool. And then DoveLight.
Hello, everybody. Where did you go, my peace? I wanna know. Oh, well. If there is something I would like to express in this panel with the topic about peace, is that we all are divine spiritual beings. We all have a physical body. We all are working together and learning balance each day, just like the day and the night, just like the ocean, just like the forest, just like the fire. We live in a multidimensional planet when we are multidimensional, which means that in order for you to walk this planet, you needed a physical body to touch. Your body was around nine, most of us, 9 months inside your mommy's womb. That means that the process of creation of your physical body in the DNA knows how to relax, how to heal, because the cells has to be in alignment with the spirit, with the soul, in order to come together with the higher intelligence. With that being said, simple, inside of each of us, no matter how traumatic, how challenging, how difficult, how overstimulating your life might be, because we all have different souls, contract souls, lessons of experience. We cannot put every single one in a single category, but inside of you, believer and trust, you know how to go back to that point of peace. Because finding peace, it's another way to say finding the true essence of yourself. When you are connected with the source, which every single one has the right, you can surrender to the divine plan. You can let go. You can feel safe. Nobody can give you that feeling. You can have things that might work for you. You can practice things that might actually resonate with, but that will come always from within. If there is something I would like to tell you, is it will not be the tea, it will not the chamomile per se, it will not be this person or my relationship that make me feel stable. It will not be my therapist. They will be guys, they will be helps, but it has, and it is coming from you, because you're allowing yourself to align with yourself. With that being said, one of the definitely the techniques that work for me, it's breath. And I encourage everybody to always come back to your breath. It is free, it is easy, it's always there. Next prayer. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, DoveLight, Crystal, and then Yashu'a, and then Paige.
So when we're born, we're totally helpless. We are totally reliant on everyone in our environment to take care of us. We can't even say what we need. And in that time, we get programmed with all kinds of information. Don't touch this, it's hot, you'll get hurt. Don't run into the street. Don't eat that dust ball under the couch. And then on the flip side of that, all the negative stuff that comes as well is, oh, you're a girl. Oh, you're a boy. Oh, you're this, you're that. And if you grow up in a trauma environment, you get told all kinds of stuff that are absolute lies. Finally, you get on the other side of it, you go out in the world, and you realize that you have all this information in here that isn't true. And it creates this huge schism inside of ourselves when we are fighting ourselves all the time, because we know it's not true, but we're afraid that what if it is true? And so we go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So part of the whole healing process is to go within and clear off all those lies. We don't have any adult perspective when we're those little tiny infants and small children. We have no way to call bullshit when someone's cramming all this stuff into our heads or mistreating us, abusing us. Because like I said, we're not adults. We can't just pick up our car keys and walk out and tell somebody to get stuffed. We have no choice. We have to stay. So finding peace. How do you find peace when you're constantly at war internally with yourself, especially if you've been shut down for all those years and haven't even had access to your emotions, and all that stuff's been internalized, and there's a lot of self-loathing and self-dislike because we're still hearing all those lies. So part of, to me, peace is silencing and disempowering and unhooking those old beliefs. Because whatever we think, especially a nod to Yashu'a about Ernest Holmes, whatever we think, we manifest. We're co-creating all the time with the universe. We live in a universe based on thought. That is the first principle of energy. So whatever we are holding within our consciousness, that's what manifests. So to find peace, we have to begin to do that healing work so that we can let go of that stuff and experience ourselves as who we are without all that other debris in the way. If I were to distill down the biggest lesson I've learned in life so far, it's about surrender. Surrendering to the divine. And I hold the affirmation that I accept and I trust the divine in all things. And when I can be in that place, then I have a lot more peace. The only thing I have control over in this life is me. I have no control over anything else but me and how I choose to respond to things. So, and now I'm getting the high sign from that cute fuzzy bear, so I got to bail. Thank you.
Thank you, Crystal. Yeshua is next.
When I think about peace, first of all, I've already stated that, there's nothing outside of you that could assist you on the desires of your heart, whether it be peace, creativity, wisdom, whatever the case is. Everything begins and ends with you. So when I think about peace, I immediately go within myself, because that's where my peace is. And there are a few of us have spoken about the babe, the babe and being in the mother's womb and things of this nature. Well, that lets me know that our being at peace is our natural state of being. So when we go into peace, or when we go within ourselves, why can't we not go within the womb of the universe where peace is found? Because in my mother's womb, I don't think I struggled with, I don't think I was struggling with her anxiety. I was just doing what I was doing, this right here, the whole time, or playing with my feet, or whatever the case is. But I was in a state of peace because that's my natural state of being. And then when I came out of my mother's womb, then that peace was disrupted with you're here on the earth. Now it's time to wake up. It's time to wake up. But waking up here on the earth is basically sleeping. Dreaming is awake. But peace, let's go back to peace. Everything begins with you. So if everything begins and ends with you, then you have to change the dialogue in which you have with yourself. Because wherever you go, that's where you are. I don't care if you're in some kind of corporation where you get everything that you so desire, or you're in a relationship that you so desire. If that dialogue with thyself is not in alignment with authenticity of who you are as a divine being, trust and believe, you're going to fall into potholes. You're going to be having several setbacks, because there needs to be a reset. It's the reason why they created that reset button, because we need to reset. Sometimes we need to reset so that we can re-regulate who we are, what we are, and how we come to serve as a divine being living in this flesh. So, the dialogue to me is once you change the dialogue, the way you talk to yourself, everything outside of you must subject itself to that which is already within you. because the power lies within you, not outside of you. Whatever you so desire, seek ye first the kingdom of your own divinity, and then everything that you so desire is added to you. It will come to you. It will be allowed to come to you. But if you're in discord and misalignment with your own divinity, just as Karen was stated, whatever is in here, it can only be reinforced. Outside of you is going to, outside of you is going to reinforce what's inside. Thank you for letting me share.
You're welcome. Kind of flow through that thought. All right, Paige is next. It's great. I love that we've all got things we want to share.
I love how passionate everyone is about this topic. And it almost feels like everyone's like puzzle piecing different parts together, which is really
right.
So
yeah.
So peace for me has been a lot within my journey with grief. So I lost my first child, my first son, right after he was born, the day he was born. And so I have had this grief journey of hiding from grief. And I've been in places where I've faced my grief and sat with that darkness. And I think a lot of times what's difficult about the term finding peace is that it seems like almost like it's outside of you, like we have to go search for it. And but it's really finding that within yourself, going on that journey inward, that downward spiral into yourself, into your consciousness, into your awareness, and finding that space. But also a huge part, and something Laureli had said in the beginning, is creating peace. So taking that time to create space for you to find that peace. And I think with our society nowadays and how we move through the world, we don't have a lot of time. We're all constantly moving, constantly going. And it's, I think in a lot of families, especially mine growing up, if you were sitting down and resting, you're lazy. And I think we get that stuck in our head, that term, like if you're resting, you're lazy. But rest is medicine, and taking that time to rest, I think, can really bring a lot of peace of mind. And then also setting what your expectation and what peace means to you. So what expectations of peace is. For me, it's not just always being happy all the time. It's not this streamline of life. It's feeling all my emotions in their totality, in their fullness, and accepting that I am allowed to feel that. And creating that space of where am I right now in my journey, and where do I want to be, and how I'm going to get there. So for me, a lot of that is journaling. Like that was how that was mentioned as well. It's writing it out, getting it out of my mind, getting it out of my body, and recognizing too that I can be at peace right now in this moment, no matter where I am, what I'm going through, knowing that I am strong enough to accept that and step into that space when I need to and when I want to. But I think what's so hard about that, and what's hard kind of about saying like, oh, we have to release these emotions and release these things, is it's so scary. Oh, sorry. It's so scary to step in, but as we keep going, we'll learn how.
If you want to finish up that thought, go ahead.
I was honestly going to go on a tangent, so it's probably good.
Okay, great. I'll share a little bit too. And if you don't have questions, we totally go around again. Oh, goodness. So when I think about peace, I noticed that I spoke a bit about authenticity earlier, and I have to be enough at peace in myself to be authentic. And I experience more peace when I am authentic. I think Karen speaking earlier on about anxiety and fear, and definitely fear is the big thing that keeps me from any of all of these things. For me, fear is like throttling, like blocking off, choking off all the feelings, all of my life energy. And so shifting out of fear is definitely a big important thing here. And I use different body movements to shift out of fear. And I do use things like breath. And when I think about peace, I also keep thinking about all kinds of meditative activities. And a lot of the things that we've talked about, I think, are those things too. So breathing is one of them for me. I learned a method of breathing, and then it was, after a good year and a half of learning it and practicing, and I went, oh, this is like a meditation. And the teacher was like, yeah. Oh, and then other things for me that have been so meditative were throwing on the potter's wheel. I didn't know anything about meditation at that point in my life, and that is the single focus. Everything else leaves, and I'm just there. And there's a bliss and an awe of the process and what's able to come through me, my hands. I love being in nature, in the trees, having it quiet, hearing all the animals and the wind go through the trees. And when I'm in a good spot on the ground, having my feet on the ground, floating in water, watching the clouds roll by, watching the fire and feeling the warmth of the fire, watching waves and hearing waves. There are all these different kinds of things that we can create and put ourselves around and in, and as ways of bringing in peace. I experience peace when I sleep. Not everyone does. I feel lots of peace then. And the few seconds of going to sleep, I think there's a deep peace for me. I'm really able to let go. Yeah, those are some of the things that come to mind for me. Yeah, all right. Well, and maybe I'll just comment too. And in many ways, I don't think of myself as a very peaceful person at all. So this is one of those panels where I'm like, can I be on it? Can I be on it? Is it okay? I spend a lot of time not in peace, and then I have deep moments of peace, and then I have rememberings of, oh yeah, peace. And at the same time, I'm a huge fan of authenticity, which is a whole pathway to peace as well. So maybe I am, just in a slightly different way. All right, well, let me remind everyone that the primary reason why we have panels, it's not only to get together and enjoy each other and to be able to share, it is to answer questions from you, our audience. I'm going to put just the basic information on the event again, and then information on asking a question. It is free to be here to listen and learn, and it's a small price to ask a question. It is 20 to 28 sliding scale. You choose how much, and if you're BIPOC, we invite you to pay only $12 as a step of making reparations. You can ask us a question on something that has to do with peace or lack of peace. And you can also ask us a question on anything. We're happy to be with you with whatever you'd like support in. Maybe one thing we could do, well, let's see, as we go back around, if you have more you want to share in general about finding peace, go ahead and do that in one moment. Sneezing is actually a very peaceful thing. If I really let myself sneeze, it's all flow through the body. We could talk about peace in the larger scale of peace in the world and the universe, and yeah, just in a larger, even community. So we may have touched on some of that in our comments, but yeah, as we go around, just more things we can share if we want to.
I'll jump in on that thought if I may.
Go ahead.
So actually, it's interesting. I was sharing in my paid membership just the other day this channeled message, and you just pinged me on it because I was talking about, and this is just perfect for you, about authenticity. And if we all lived for following our connection to the divine, to the universe, and really took care of ourselves, right? Lived our authentic lives, and everybody was doing that, what kind of world would we live in? Because so many people are shoving themselves into containers they don't fit in to try to fit in, right? And so many people are trying to put on these masks to hide how they're actually feeling. And how many times are we not communicating authentically out of fear or judgment or whatever it is? And what does that do to the vibration of the planet? What does that do to the communications, both interpersonally and around the world, right? Because leaders are always positioning themselves, right? There are these figureheads, there are these, they have to have this certain persona that they're stepping forward with. And what change is possible if everybody started living in this authentic expression of who they actually are and what they actually are here to do? And it starts small with each one of us, because as we step into our authenticity and really, follow our heart figure out all the stuff that's not us so that we can really be true to ourselves, then we have that ripple effect, and it lights up all of these other people, and it can inspire them to then be authentic. And then that person over here has that ripple effect. And it's like, again, with the goosebumps, how much change can we affect, and how high can we vibrate as a collective on this planet simply by making sure that we are taking care of ourselves, and by loving who we are enough to trust that we are who we are for a reason, and we are a contribution to this planet just by being who we are. And how much peace can we invite in, not only to ourselves, but everybody around us when we step into that.
That's great. One thing I'm going to mention too, just in between everyone, and I'm double checking, like, do I still have it really? I think I still have it. One of the URLs I've had for several years, even though I've never used it for anything, is Authenticity Ripples. At one point, I bought a whole bunch of different URLs that have ripples in it, and I gave away all of them except that one. I think I still have that one. Yeah, I love the way it sounds on when I say it, and yeah, so it's part of what reminds me, I guess, to come back to authenticity and peace. All right, Joy, feel free to share more.
Oh, thank you. I love that, Karen. Actually, it's something I have to bring this up, even though it's going to sound kind of, the recent hearings. I've been researching this, the hearings about the UFOs. It's actually uncovered. There's an expert in this field that it has uncovered. There's a very dark secret agency that's been shooting down UFOs, taking the inhabitants, torturing them, keeping them captive, stealing their technology, reverse technology. Oh, so they're amassing all this secret technology. That's one. And then this person who has been trying to is supportive of the ETs, has gotten a protocol. He's actually trying to expose this secret organization, and then he's gotten a protocol from the government of France to actually contact ETs, and he is asking that people as private individuals use his technique to contact ETs and send energy of love, and also invite them to visit them. And he has actually been very successful and has a lot of video footage of UFOs appearing at his gatherings. So they're very real, and vibration is real. And it reminded me of, Dr. Emoto's experiments with water, and then the negative versus the positive, because, he's saying that if we send enough positive energy, we will be able to rid ourselves of this secret organization. And we will also be able to get the help of the ETs, who are actually completely benevolent. The secret agency has also been trying to impersonate ETs as hostile, so they can set the stage for an interplanetary war, so they can keep the status quo and not release any of the technology that would actually transform the world. So, if any of you are interested in that, and being, ambassadors and contacting other life forms, message me. It's really interesting, and I think, and it's funny because he says that when you're in communication with them, you might, and it's funny the way he says it, you might encounter spirit guides and angels because they're on the same wavelength. But his focus is to contact the ETs. So he's just mentioning that as an aside. So it's very interesting.
Oh, and by the way, Marilyn just mentioned in the chat, ETs, UAPs. What is
Yes,
the new name? Yeah.
that's the new name. It's unidentified aerial phenomena
Okay. Yeah.
instead of UFOs.
Great. Thank you, Joy. All right. DoveLight.
One of the topics that comes a lot when I'm doing readings for people, it's closures of relationship. Why did this person do this to me? How he was not or she was not reciprocate? Why did I, as a punishment for a past life, this and that, this and that? And we have to honor again that there is not a single answer for everything. Sometimes in this beautiful, beautiful and crazy world, good things will happen to not so good people, and not so good things will happen to good people. It's life. Sometimes we need to get out of our head in why it happened to me, but what is it for? What can you do with the experience, with the wisdom? With this, in any moment at all, I want to bypass your suffering, your hurt, your challenge, because it's not about also bypassing your feelings. You are entitled to your feelings. Feelings are a gift they were able to feel. We will never be judged for feeling. However, many of us, or many people that I encountered, identify themselves as their feelings. They not only feeling sad, they think become the sadness, they carry the frequency, and that's where the misunderstanding it is. You're allowed to feel your feelings, but you are allowed to attach to the level that you're identifying at it. And that's when the attachment comes, because the body has memory, and the body will get used to the chemical that the brain is releasing when you're feeling a certain emotion for too long. So what I'm trying to say is that it is very important to have a space, whatever it resonates for you, to listen, to be honest. What is it that you like? What is it that you don't like, without judgment? Because only to getting to know yourself and being authentic, like really be honest to yourself, you will know what is it that you're looking for in life, and what is it important to have an idea to what to look in life, because then we can have better choices that are aligning to you. Many of the people that I read, not many, but some of cases, they are feel their sense of peace and safety with other person. And if the person leaves them, they feel unsafe, or they feel not good enough, or they're not worth it. It has nothing to do with that person. It is your relationship to the abandonment. It's your relation to the attachment to don't feel like you're going to be alone. The other person has nothing to do with it. So it's also about going back to the beginning, knowing that you have so much power within yourself. You have so much power within your thought. You have so much power within your emotion. But it is very important to allow the space to be honest to yourself and to get to know yourself. That's how you're going to find peace. Otherwise, our mind can go to many different directions. And that's when it gets tricky. You know, this is what I love panels like this, because you are very honored to hear different perspectives that can lead you to a different way. If you keep doing the same thing all the time, chances are that you will have the same outcome. And that's a way to find peace. Really, be honest. What is it that you really want? How is it you really want it? And what are you willing to change for it or release? Okay, thank you, everybody.
Thank you, DoveLight. And I can't help but thinking that Paige is in the process of creating peace while we're creating peace for someone else. We're helping someone else find that place of peace. Yeah, while we're doing this. All right. Then I think Crystal and Yashu'a.
So the universe seeks balance all the time. And sometimes we hear that called homeostasis. But that is the point of power when you are at the point of balance. And how do we get that? Well, we are presented with opportunities all the time to look at that we can clear so that we can have that balance in our lives. So when we think something's bad or something's good, it's neither. There is no bad nor good. It simply is what it is. It's ism. There is no bad or good. We do have duality on this plane, but that's simply what it is. We attach a value to those things, and then we become aligned with those values of what we've created, and then we now are attached and that becomes part of our personalities and who we think we are. And we are none of those things. We are unlimited potential, limited only by our perceptions. When you shift a perceptions, you shift your reality. Your external reality is merely a reflection of your internal reality. When you are at peace with yourself inside, then you're going to see that ripple out into your external reality. When you've cleared something that's a big chunk, it doesn't have to come back to you and that's strong anymore. It might show up for a short dance, but you aren't overwhelmed by it anymore. You can see it, you can have detachment from it, and then you can just let it go. There doesn't have to be any drama around it or anything like that. And to me, those are the stepping stones to peace. Everything starts within us, with each one of us. So when we are judging somebody else and being really harsh about somebody else, it's really a reflection back to us about what's going on with us. One of my teachers once said, we're all like rocks in a big rock tumbler, and we're smoothing all our edges off with each other by all our experiences that we have with each other. So people in your life that you're having trouble with, perhaps look at how they're mirroring something back to you about you. We often make things that are happening about us, and it's not about us at all. When you're in the grocery line and say the checkout clerk is being snotty to everybody, it has nothing to do with you. They don't know you. They have no idea who you are. That's their stuff that's happening for them. So how often do we take on stuff that's not even about us? And so when we're doing that, that's when it's time to interrupt that whole cycle and say, okay, I'm telling myself something that's not true. So part of peace again as well is, what's all that internal dialogue that's going on all the time? What stories are we constantly telling ourselves that keep us out of alignment with ourselves? And that's when you start looking at those stories and you start identifying underlying false beliefs about, oh, I'm not worthy to have that, or I don't deserve this, or I haven't worked hard enough, or why should I have something when somebody else doesn't have something? All those old programming pieces that we get. So part of the path to peace is to sit down and deal with all those old issues and programming that we've got from a variety of institutions, from our family of origin, school, religious upbringing, depends maybe also what culture maybe you're born into, socioeconomic, race, ethnicity. And then I've got to stop because there's a fuzzy bear right in my face. So thank you.
I love it. Yeah. So I can begin now.
Yeah.
You know, peace definitely, you know, there are many avenues and ways to peace, but I think the ultimate one is to make peace with what is. To make peace with what is, and know within thyself that all things will work together for your good. It works together for your good because it's happening for you. Why is it happening for you? It's happening for you to help you or to assist you in the cultivation of your own spirituality. Now, we have spoken about negative, positive, left, right, good, bad, but neither one of them work independently of one another. They have to work together for the good. You can't bake a cake without putting heat to it. You just cannot. And then you have to think about all the ingredients that go into the cake. Maybe, you know, your dysfunctions go into the cake. Your anxiety goes into the cake. All the things that you find or we find a discord or a misalignment to our own divinity goes into the cake. And then when it goes into the heat, the purification comes about. And then the cake becomes all of a sudden good. We like it now. So, and we like it because we've done the work. What is the work? The work is going within thyself. That's what it is. The work is going within thyself. And just like Karen and Crystal and Laureli, I believe, mentioned, everything outside of you is a reflection of thyself. If you don't like what you see outside of you, change your mind about it. For me, when I don't like something outside of myself, I have a conversation with it. Why are you here? And where did you come from? What root did you come from? I have a conversation with it because I can't get away from myself. I can carry it around like a dead corpse, or I can just have a conversation with it. Shadow work, that's called shadow work. So you dive deep within these dysfunctions. I had are you getting ready to shut me down? I'm shutting down now.
I feel like that's the sweetest way to be like, okay, next thing. So when I think about peace on a level outside of myself, so like a world level, community level, things like that, a lot of what comes up for me is I always think back to when I was little and I was like, I'm going to save the world. I always felt like I was going to be that girl, you know, that really charged out there and just completely changed the whole entire world. Then I grew up and realized how much I feel is wrong with the world, that, you know, our universal consciousness isn't at that resonation of love, isn't at that vibration of love. And there's so much that breeds from that, from hate, from ignorance, from negativity, all of that. And it became overwhelming after I did lose my son, because I was like, I want to help every mother that's going to lose a child, you know, and I started a business and I just charged into it, not really having processed anything myself. And, you know, it didn't go how I planned. And then there were other things. I was like, oh, okay, this is what I'm going to change for the whole world. This is what I'm going to change. And something that I had to come to terms with, and has been very recent for me, is I might not, you know, who knows what happens in the future, but I might not change the world in a way that everyone can see. But when I, like everyone says, work on myself and take one thing at a time in my community, or with the way I speak to someone, with the way that I project myself to other people out in the world, the way I listen to people, that is my way of changing the world just a little bit for the future. And I really like this saying that, and I'm going to butcher it because I don't fully remember it. It's something like, a man who plants a tree that he will never sit under the shade knows true love, or something like that, right? It's the little things that you do now that are like, have we been talking about, will ripple out to everyone. A big thing for me as a mother to create peace for the world is finding peace within myself, but then also teaching my two daughters to love themselves fully and wholly in a way that I wasn't taught, and to teach them how to express themselves in this world in their authenticity, in who they are, even though they're wildly different from me in a lot of ways as a 3-year-old and an 8-month-old already, how they process the world and I see them working. And so, yes.
Okay, gotta keep making sure to put the timer on me too. So I know one thing I wanted to mention, and I put it in the chat, is the reason why I chose the theme Finding Peace for the panel today is because tomorrow is the International Day of Peace, and the theme this year is Actions for Peace. It's a call to action that recognizes our individual and collective responsibility to foster peace. So that's another great verb, to foster peace. I want to jump off from what Yashu'a was saying about finding peace with what is. So for me, one of the words that comes up is flow. when I can find my place of, when I can have myself be in flow with what is, with what I'm experiencing. That's a place of peace, or certainly on the pathway to peace. One of the tools one of my teachers taught about how to be with anger or aggression that someone is sending at me, if I'm physically safe in the moment, is sort of to flow with that energy and let the energy of it go flying by. So I don't feel hit by it. I don't feel like I need to take it in and absorb it. So the flow, which took me to another verb, another place. If I'm in play, I must be experiencing peace. If I'm genuinely in play, I don't know how to play any other way. So play, it's another big thing that's coming up for me. And, I'm kind of playing a little bit tonight with this guy. And yeah, and you're all playing back with me. So a combination of different things. And the more that we are in play about all this, the more we are experiencing peace. See if there's anything else I want to say about the world. I think that, yeah, I appreciate, Paige, what you were sharing. I believe that, well, again, like flow and ripples and waves, there's looking at a larger scale and coming back in with myself, in my closer community and the larger scale, and all of these things matter. We might each have, just based on what I see in people's eyes, strengths with some more than others. And I think all of these are important. I can't remember. Did we hear from DoveLight this round? We must have. Did we? All right. So just a reminder, yeah, be the change you wish to see in the world. Yeah, yeah. So again, if anyone has any questions for us, we'd love to answer any questions. It's great if it's a specific question like you would ask us in a session, private session, and knowing that this is public. When you ask us a question, if we go deeper than you want us to go, or we talk about topics you don't want us sharing about here, wake us up, let us know, interrupt us. We want to honor you in our answer. You can ask us a question on anything. It doesn't have to be on the theme. We might bring it back to the theme. We request that you pay us first before you jump in to ask a question. I'm putting the information in the chat again on how you can do that. And if no one has questions tonight, we'll just continue our conversation for a little bit. And yeah, and that's what it will be today. We will see how to be at peace and in peace, and fostering and creating peace with how everything is flowing. Shall we go around again? And if any of us has a question about it or a prompt about it too, we can do that. And I know some of you haven't had a chance to fully share. So if anyone, we don't have to go in order. If anyone particularly wants to share more, you can say too.
Can I ask a question?
Mhm.
I wanted to just ask each of you, I was wondering what you do specifically, maybe like on a day-to-day basis, something small that helps you stand in that peace, or like step into that peace, or kind of keep that as like a streamline for you. What do you guys do that people can kind of use for themselves?
Great. I'm going to answer really briefly and say I live in the trees, and I live in log cabin. I'm in one of the other log cabins right now, and I took a photo outside just a moment ago. I didn't get the best light that I saw, but I took it as fast as I can. And so being around this kind of thing, that's how I bring myself towards peace every day. To where I live. Who else wants to share?
I can jump in.
And I would say those of you that are watching, if you want to write stuff in the chat about how you experience peace every day and bring yourself to peace every day, feel free to share. Go ahead, Karen.
I've got a couple of daily practices. One is just reminding myself that I am the co-creator in my life, and that I get to set the standards, and I get to, define and dream in what it is that I desire for my life. And I actually say that in front of a mirror every morning. And that's one of the ways that I actually start my day. And then I go into a card reading for myself, what needs to come forward for my highest good. And I reflect on that. And then similar to Laureli, I have a beautiful view of the sunset, although my sky is very dark at this point. Very different view because I'm on the East Coast and very close to the beach. So I really love, like, if I'm having a rough time, I will go to the beach. I don't get there as much as I would like to, but that's one place that I have always felt called. and I just step in the water and I can feel like that cleansing. And then I have a lot of practices that I use, like the meditations and the breathing techniques, where, you know, if I need some on the spot help, I do that. And I do energy work on myself, not every day, but as a regular practice, I use the different modalities on myself, which really, really helps a lot. And while I have the spotlight, there were too many thoughts I wanted to throw in. DoveLight was talking about how we really internalize our emotions. And I wanted to jump on that because it's not only that we internalize them, but we actually speak it. Our English language is very limited. And so we will say, I am sad. Well, what did you just own as your actual definition and identification of yourself, right? I am Karen, I am sad. Not exactly the same thing, you know, but you can kind of remove it from yourself by saying, like, I'm feeling sad, right? And that makes it more of a temporary experience. And that little shift helps you to notice why you're experiencing the emotion, kind of, oh, okay, I'm feeling this. Why do I feel that way? What is this showing me? And then process it so that you can release it, so that you're not weighing yourself down with those things, because it's very true. Your body is going to absolutely get used to whatever you are making your internal reality. So it's just an interesting little note about the English language on that. And I said two things and I forgot the other, so I'm going to pass it over to Yashu'a, who has her hand raised.
Well, thank you, Karen. I really appreciate that. I would say this, you know, I have feelings too. You know, there are times where I may be disappointed about something, and I am going to honor that feeling. I'm going to allow myself to be disappointed and work that energy out. I can't, you know, one thing I strive not to do is deny what I'm feeling. Because once I do that, I'm also denying a part of my own divinity. I'm denying it. One of the gifts of being in the flesh, or having this human experience, is being able to experience those emotions, whether they be sad or happy, anger or disappointment. But as divine beings, and as one who is cultivating spirituality, you use those moments of discord for the cultivation of your spirituality. You just sift it out, you work it out. Going back to what Paige asks, is that, you know, my practices have evolved over time. They have evolved over time. When I began this path, I was doing everything that everybody else said that I needed to do: meditation, contemplation, burn incense, candles, Muhammad, I was doing all of that. And then as I came in, as I began to own my own divinity and the path of my own divinity, I cultivated my own way of being. So now when I wake up, I come downstairs, I probably get me a cup of coffee, and I just sit in complete silence. Nothing's going on, just complete silence. And for me, the silence allows me to ground myself, because in my sleep, I've been astral projecting all night. I've been in other places, Joy. I've been in other planets, doing other things in other countries. So in the morning, I just sit in complete silence. I look at birds. You know, I have a bird feeder outside my patio. I watch the birds, and I watch how they interact with one another. And somehow, some way, whatever I'm thinking about corresponds to what they're doing and how they're looking at each other, and you know how one takes turn, comes to the bird feeder and flies off, and then the other one comes, but the other one is doing a watch, just watching, making sure that the other one is safe. I mean, I find it absolutely amazing. But for me, today it's all about being in silence. And then after that, I may do oracle, or I may do a reading on myself. Another part of grounding. It's another part of grounding. I may do some studying, do some treatments with science of mind. But your soul knows exactly what it needs to do to cultivate itself. So you sit in silence and you wait. You wait to hear the call. That's what I do. Yeah. Oh, there it is, right there. That right there.
You like the bear? We have DoveLight and then Crystal.
One of the breath of life. When you separate from your mom's body to become your own individual person, you detach from the umbilical cord, you start breathing on yourself. Your first breath, start your life as a human being. And it will be the last breath that you take. It will end it to this existence, not to your spirit because it's eternal, but to your physical existence. While you live your life here with your physical embodiment and your experiences and connection, it's free. It's just to be aware that when we get stressed, we start getting anxiety, we stop breathing, we don't get enough oxygen. So one of the practices that I use, and I have to retrain and relearn myself, is just breathe. Just take a moment to breathe. It's very simple. It's very easy. It can shift your whole energy field. Gratitude as well. It doesn't have to be long, at least 3, 10 if you wish, things you're grateful for. Don't wait to lose an eye or to be able to get sick and not wake up anywhere or feeling nauseous to be grateful for what you already have. At this moment in your life, through the things you might have passed through, if you can see, if you can eat, if you can talk, if you can think, if you can be independent to a certain level, you already have heaven on earth, trust me. If you have clean water, if you have the ability to buy and provide food for you, you have heaven on earth. Please let us not take for granted those things that we are very grateful to have. Simple things, having a dog, having company, having Wi-Fi. Very simple things can shift your perspective. Gratitude, it's immense. Energy healing, I love energy healing. I do it through the day. I don't have a specific time. I just love feeling home, feeling the connection to the divine. And that's one of the also sessions that I'm passionate about. When you are conscious or about the energy healing that you already have, even if you haven't been attuning any Reiki, reconnection, this, that, you are already born because we're already channeling light. And when we rub our hands consciously, and I learned this from Kimberly Meredith, one of my best friends in medical medium, and it is true. When you're rubbing your hand consciously, it's not only the friction, but the spirits are going inside your palms and they're guiding you for how much the healing that you're going to need to your body or to others. So what I do, a very few practices, just rub my hand and I felt spirits convincing my hand and I just give them a hug, because all my life in maturity, I've been yearning for spirit, for the angels, for my spirit guide, for my ancestors that love me. And I have it right here in the palm of my hand. But allow yourself the moment to see it and listen. I have something else to do about the peace topic, but I'll wait until we go around. Thank you.
Thank you, DoveLight. We've got Crystal and then Paige.
Well, I'm going to echo a lot of what's already been said. So Paige, you asked, what are the things that we can do throughout the day to bring us back into present time, basically is the way I look at it, back into the moment. And many good suggestions have been made. Just concentrating on your breath, focusing on gratitude, all the blessings that we have. And it can be simple as something simple as, I have clean air to breathe today. Just coming from a place of gratitude, a place of appreciation and gratitude. I also use affirmations because this moment creates the step for the next moment, which then creates the step for the next moment. When I use an affirmation, then I am in the moment and I'm consciously intentional about what I want to put into practice in that moment. And then that leads to the platform to the next moment. The universe will align with us, whatever vibrational that we have going on at that time. And so when we step into the present, we become aware, then we are in a place of clarity and discernment. And then we can also hear our internal guidance a lot more clearly as well, instead of being distracted by all the other things that we can easily get distracted by. We are a fourfold being, and we are greater than the sum of all our parts. So I am not this body. I am not my emotions. I am not my mental. I'm not my spiritual necessarily, but I'm greater than the sum of all those parts. All those fourfold bodies, the physical, the emotional, the mental, and the spiritual, I'm getting feedback 24/7 from any one of those systems. And emotions are a feedback. Physical sensation is a feedback. Whatever's going on in my head, that's feedback. Whatever I'm experiencing as spirit is also feedback. So we're the divine made incarnate. So we are constantly enmeshed in the universe, in the world, and whatever's going on. So when we take those moments, if we're feeling overwhelmed, then we can take the moment to step back and come back into ourselves and go, oh yeah, I got a little ahead of myself there, or I got overwhelmed by that thing over there. And then we can have more presence of mind to then come back into present time and kind of take stock of what's going on. We are the creator of cause, and the effects come from our cause. So when I am conscious about what I am creating, then the effect also is a conscious result from that. And again, there's that rascally little fluffy bear, and this time it almost looks like he's upside down. Oh, he was. Okay, so thank you.
Thank you, Paige.
So I just wanted to kind of mention some things or tag on to things some other people had said. I like, Crystal, that you said it can be as simple as, and then you had, talking about the gratitude breathing, the fresh air, because I think a lot of times we get so wrapped up in like, I have to do all these things. Like Yashu'a said, when she first started, she did all the things like, right, breath work, meditation, the incense, the candles, all of that. And I feel like I think a lot of people start with that when they dive into this journey of spirituality. They get all the things and then they sit with, and dive in, but you can be alone by yourself with nothing that is going to, enhance your experience. And I do that because I think a lot of it does, but also just as yourself in yourself, just being with yourself and noticing yourself and having that awareness of self and being like, what do I need right now in this moment? And then just as daily practices, I think if you're a parent or if you're a caregiver in any capacity, your mind a lot of the day is focusing on other people's needs, focusing on other people's wants. When I wake up until I get my kids to sleep, my mind is on them. Even right now with my daughter, she's playing around, like my mind is on her. I have to make sure, she doesn't fall and hit her head and she doesn't eat something she's not supposed to, like you were mentioning before, and how DoveLight kind of said, when you separate from the womb, as a parent, my mind is never separate. But so for me, creating that space on a day-to-day basis is at the end of the night, once I get them to sleep, no matter what the time is, I always take some time to just be by myself and do something as simple as watch a show that I enjoy, not something, that my husband wants to watch, or the kids want to watch. It's all about focusing on my one want for the day. I eat the food that I want to eat. No one's stealing snacks from me as I'm eating, but it's so much focusing on that gratitude of having that space and creating that routine for self. And, you don't have to always be all in that moment either. You can just kind of let yourself be without having to be like, okay, let me pinpoint all these little parts, right? Just sit and be, and like you said, sit in silence, or listen, have just like a song without lyrics on that helps your brain waves to connect to yourself and to grow. So that's what I do. Just sit down and I get to watch my show, and it has released so much anxiety that I hold during the day as someone whose mental space is constantly being put in other places.
Great. Crystal's got some more. Go ahead.
Thank you. Let me take my little hand down here. I like what Paige just said about honoring her time when she had the time, when she's done with her responsibilities of the day, when everything is laid to rest, then she's going to take time for herself and do something that gives her pleasure or fun or lightens her load. She's going to enjoy and watch a show and do that for herself. I think one of the other things that I don't think anybody's talked about a whole lot yet is we are told constantly we have to give everything away to everybody else. And if we give to ourselves, we're told that we're selfish. Totally want to just blow that one right out of the water. I heard this expression about you fill your cup first, and then anything that overflows, that's what you give to everybody else. But you fill your cup first. And that takes me back to the statement about thou shalt have no other God before me. And I think what that really means is you can't put anything ahead of the relationship you have with your own divinity, about honoring who you are and honoring self. And that's what I think that means. You don't want to put anything ahead of that. And we're with people that love us and care about us. They want the best for us. They want to see positive things for us. They have our back. They want to support what we want to do. And so that's another piece as well, is what are we feeding ourselves? Are we going into situations that feed us? Or are we going into situations or relationships that deplete us? And I think that's one thing, if you're not sure, sometimes you can use that as a barometer, as a baseline, especially if you're first getting started and doing this kind of stuff that we're talking about. When you come out of something, do you feel like you got fed, or do you feel like a lot of stuff got taken away? And if you just start there and you just start basing your life, what you want, is it feeding me? You could call us like we're spiritual athletes, right? Athletes are very aware of their environment. They're very aware of what they want to do with their bodies. They're very aware of what they need to do to become the best athlete that they want to be. And I believe as spiritual warriors, if you will, or athletes, we have the same thing. We have to cultivate feeding ourselves with the good stuff so that we then in turn can bring that good stuff back out into the world as well. Thanks. You didn't even have to hold a bear up this time.
No, you didn't quite get to the bear. I'm going to jump in and say a little bit, Paige, just before you go. One other thing that when I stumble into it, I'm reminded about how much this brings me back and brings me to a state of peace and appreciation. Appreciations is one way I can get back to peace too, is when I see art or creative expression, poetry, when I experience it from others. And I was thinking about one of my friends who's a poet, or Maya Angelou, like when I hear some of these different things, right? And so sometimes it's that it makes me appreciate the beauty in the world, and sometimes it's harsh and makes me face what's happening in the world, and it expresses the truth of what's here that isn't being said. And the relief of hearing that brings peace, as well as activates and energizes me, which also in some ways feels peaceful because it's authentic. All right, Paige, go ahead. And then DoveLight, and then Karen.
So something I just wanted to tag on to Crystal real quick is you were talking about kind of feeding yourself, and what that brought up for me was being aware of what you consume, whether that's food, alcohol, drugs, TV, the people that you bring yourself around, the nature that you're in. So, finding what you're consuming and seeing how it makes you feel after. For me, if I eat too much sugar, I can feel my body being very upset with me. It like physically will throw me off for a day emotionally as well. And so for me, eating well is something that brings me peace. And it's part of my spirituality as well, to eat as close to the earth as I can. So just things like just watching what you do consume, and and with all your senses, your clothes, the way they fit on your body, the way they feel on your body, just everything like that.
Great. Thanks, Paige. We've got DoveLight and then Karen.
One of the things that brought me peace is one of the surrender prayers. There are many. I shared that prayer before in a panel, but it goes something like Divine Oneness, Divine Father, Divine Mother, whatever you believe, you can put the name. Please give me the wisdom. No, please remove anything or anyone or any energy that is not meant to be in my life, that is not meant to be in my path, that is not meant to be in my energy field. And give me the wisdom to know that it's happening for my highest good, while you bring the blessed resources towards me, the blessed people, the blessed energies into my energy field. And thank you, life, thank you, God, whatever you believe. I love that prayer because it helps me to trust and surrender the power, the ones your highest best and your highest good will bring people, situations into your life, and it also will take them away. So when people, situations, jobs, financial, things like that goes away or it doesn't happen to you, it's that relationship with the divine. You already asked for it. Remove what's not for my highest good. So they're already taking it out. Like, the cycle is over, or we learn what we needed to learn, and it is okay and it is safe. So instead of just things happening randomly, because I'm talking and I'm listening to my connection to the divine, I understand a little bit better now in a deeper level that everything is meant to be the way it's supposed to be. I don't have to attach to why me, or why it didn't happen to me, or what's wrong with me. So it helped me in a moment of my life to have that connection to the divine. Another thing that kept coming to me a lot regarding this topic, it's that you're going to find a lot of peace when you understand, when you generally, or at least when you make peace with the fact that not everybody has your same path, your same thinking, your same and that's okay. So you don't have to go trying to change your kids, your partner, your boss, the people around you. It's very, very heavy in the energy field. And it's not for you. You're not God. You are not to think for other people. So something that will bring you a lot of peace is just to allow people to be who they're meant to be and make them the space to make their own choices. So it's not all about you, what I meant to say. And yeah, that also brings a lot of peace.
Thanks, DoveLight. Karen.
So that was beautiful, DoveLight. And in addition to allowing others to be who they truly are, allow yourself to be who you truly are, and not hold back and hold yourself in judgment. And I wanted to jump on what Crystal was saying about that overflowing cup. So I actually kind of adapted that, and it's something that I share a lot with clients, and it's something that I actually remind myself of. I do have a younger child of a 5-year-old. I've got a teenager too. That's a different challenge in and of itself. But the 5-year-old, it's like there's no understanding that I might have my own needs, right? They're so little. It's like, you just exist so you can do all the things for me. And it's so important that we care for ourselves. And so instead of looking at it as a cup, I actually see it as a well. And if you're not refilling the well, you're down at the bottom where it's muddy and gross. And when you have nothing left and you're completely depleted and scraping those bottom, what are you giving? Like, who are you still giving to? It's the people you love, right? You're going to still give to your family. You're going to still give to whoever those people are that you feel like no matter what, even if you're at the lowest depletion rate, you're going to still give to them. Now you're giving them mud and guck. But if you take that time every day to make sure that you are filling your well, then you're giving them crystal clear water, crystal clear energy, and you can feel good about what you're sharing with them because you yourself are that crystal clear, sparkling, refreshing, beautiful, life-giving, life-affirming water, energy, all of that good stuff, because you're filling up inside first. And just to really nail that point home, that whole oxygen mask thing, right? When you're on a plane, if you don't put that oxygen mask on first, you pass out, you still can't help the person next to you. But if you put yourself first and you check in, what do I need? How can I help myself find my peace? What's going to make me feel fulfilled today? Then again, back to that whole ripple effect, right? What are you sharing out with the world? Because if you're at depletion, or if you're high vibe and feeling awesome, how much more beauty and love and peace can you share because you took care of you first?
Great. And yeah, I know Yashu'a has more to share. And then Paige, do you have something quick or is it a longer one?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that last thing you just said.
I know Yashu'a has more to share also. Did you want, Paige, is yours quick or is it a short one? Is it a longer one?
It's quick.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Paige.
I was just gonna say, I think part of, and I apologize, my camera's off, I'm nursing, but I was just gonna say, part of peace as well is even when you're in chaotic moments, you can feel peace if you know that you're strong enough to get through it and that you're gonna be okay on the outside of it. So just finding that strength and knowing that it's always there, and like just learning how to get into that mindset and find that space.
Yeah, so part of it is being able to see into the distance, like that's just where we are, where we're heading. Yeah, it's great. All right, I'm going to hand the floor over to Yashu'a.
Yes, I was going to say, well, I'll attach what I'm going to say to what Karen was speaking on, and that is about peace. And as you elevate and expand yourself in that peace, in that frequency of peace, things around you are going to shift. So you might shed some people, you might become uncomfortable in situations or around people, places and things that you normally would be comfortable in. It's a bittersweet. I'm not going to say it's sweet because it ain't sweet. Ain't nothing sweet about it. The process is intense, and it can be bittersweet because you're going to have to you're going to have to understand that you're going to leave people that you really, really love and that you've been having attachments to. You're going to have to make a decision for your divinity, for the cultivation, the elevation of your divinity, or the people. There's a saying in the Bible that says, come out from among them and be ye separate. You're going to go through that time of coming out from among them and being separate, because now you in that peace, or going in that frequency of peace, you are entering into the womb of the universe. And there has to be a process of cultivation. It has to be. It can't, there's no way around it. But once you come out of it, you will have the strength to be around. I think Paige mentioned it. You'll have more strength to be around the people, and you probably won't even want to be around them, period. They won't want to be around you because they no longer match your frequency, nor do you match their frequency. So as you, and I'm sure, well, I'll speak for myself. and others may join in. But once I got on this path and I put my feet on the ground and I said, this is what it is and this is how it's going to go down. Today, I find myself with myself. I find myself with myself. I don't have a lot of people around me because I'm too sensitive. I absorb the energy, and it could be really murky and muddy to transmute their energy, to get it off of you, to clean your energy. So I take people in dosage. You're going to have to do that. You take people in doses. There are going to be times where you're going to have to come in and close the blind, shut the door, and don't talk. Don't say nothing. Just be in that space of stillness, because there's a working that's going on with the energy and your divinity. But it's a beautiful marriage. You know, it's a beautiful marriage, and it's not about compromise. It's about cooperation, because that's all your soul wants to do, is to cooperate with you having this human experience. Yeah.
Great. And I know you're going to be on for a few more minutes, but maybe while you're sharing now, maybe take this chance to share more about who you are and what you do and how people can reach out to you. And yeah.
I am the CEO or the co-founder, and I say co-founder because it is not I that doeth the work, it is the divine that does it within me. And I'm in total cooperation with that. But I am the co-founder of Sankofa Divinity. I specialize in mental work, changing the way you think about a thing, mediumship, oracle card reading. I'm a Reiki, as well as a Reiki master teacher. As a Reiki master teacher, I'm only interested in assisting you in teaching you how to heal yourself, or how to establish a relationship within thyself. Healing begins first with having a relationship with thyself. As you have a relationship with thyself, then you have access to the things that can heal you and make you whole, which you're already whole. You just have to go through a process of discovering it. You can always reach me at Sankofa Divinity at outlook.com, or you can contact me at 347-423-5297.
All right, great. It's been great having you. Yeah, you're on for a few more minutes with us. Thank you so much. And your info's in the chat again too. Anyone else want to share a bit more about finding peace? And we may all finish up soon. Yeah, any questions for the panel? Questions that we can answer as a deep personal question like that you would ask us in a private session would be great. Yeah, and panelists, if we have a question we want to ask each other, ask ourselves, we can do that too. Maybe one thing we could talk about that just occurred to me is like places where we have the hardest time, like what are our edges with finding peace? And the thing that just showed up for me is just my body, and really accepting my body and feeling peace in my body, not only with just the body that I have, the way my body is now, feeling safe and peace in my body so that I can treat my body well, so my body will even be healthier. Like those are just layers, from old trauma. So those are like one of my edges. DoveLight.
I genuinely believe, I know for sure that our being, our physical body, the mental, the emotional, the spiritual is greater. It's what we call here in the Western aura. It's greater. It's the bubble around us, and it gets affected because at the end of the day, we are one. No matter what the lesson or energy frequency of what people are choosing to feel or do, because there's a diversity of everything. One way or another, we're going to be part of the experience because it's part of the experience. So it does help me a lot to do energy fields, energy protection. This is not fear-based, it's common sense. Like if it's raining, you need an umbrella. If there is snow, you need your snow boots, you need your coat. So I'm usually, when I have to pass through a train station, like the 34th station, or a city when there's a lot of people rushing in, rushing out, people are screaming or doing things that I have no choice but to have to do my, in my life to do my things, I call upon the energy field protection, the silver light, the golden light, the violet flame. I have a connection with Archangel Michael, like many of us. So imagination, it's the language of the soul. You're not making it up. It's being affected, and it is affecting the energy field, the non-physical part. So that definitely helped me a lot when I'm when this type of places, and it works. At least I know it works. It has worked in my life. And it also works with people that sometimes you are a light and you carry light, and you will attract people who want that light. The duality, the polarity in this world, it's not really them, it's the dark energies that they allow to be influenced with because it's unconscious. Because they also have a light from God, or from Creator, from the source. They also have an inner light. It's for whatever reason they're choosing to be playing a part where they are more farther away from that light, for whatever is their purpose at this moment. So it does help a lot to put this field and to have boundaries, to even say no, or just excuse yourself and go unapologetically, but respectfully, you can go. You don't have to stand there for the energy attacks, because people does it unconsciously. They attack you energetically. It's not really them, it's that they're also in a not so good place. So they're allowing themselves to be influenced by the dark energies that are around in this planet, for whatever reason they exist in this planet. So I just wanted to honor that. Energy fields, bubble protection, call divine guidance. That works for me. Challenging to get my peace when somebody's trying to. Thank you.
Thanks, DoveLight. Paige got her hand up again.
Yeah. So with what you said, Laureli, about not feeling or having a hard time with peace, not just with your physical, the way you look at yourself, but also with, feeling safe in your body. I have had a journey with that as well, not feeling at peace, just being in my own skin, in my body, having experienced sexual trauma in any sort of manner, I think really, at least for me, has put a lot of that on. And when I was engaging in any sort of lovemaking or physical, I'm not sure how to say that casually, but sex or anything like that, I had a really hard time. I even still have a little bit of a difficulty talking about it because of even just consensual, beautiful, lovemaking. I have a hard time speaking about it because of what I've experienced in my past. And a huge thing for me in finding peace with that was, thankfully, my partner, my husband, has created safe spaces for me, allows me to, or he doesn't allow me, I allow myself to speak, and he creates that space for me when I say, that's too much or not enough in this way, like it's pushing me in the wrong direction in any sort of way, or I don't feel safe. He creates that space to step back and let me feel safe in my body. And it has the constant safety that I have felt with him has done so much to create space around those experiences that I've had, even just in ways of physical touch was not my love language for a long time because of what I've experienced since I was about 14. And so having somewhere where even in this last year, and I've been married for 5 years, together for 8, even in this last year, kind of stepping into a space where now I can like set my hand on him and I don't feel like shaky about it or weird about it, or having private time with myself has been something that I didn't grow up thinking was okay. And so now creating that space for myself to say, like, I am allowed to do this. This is my body. This feels right. This feels good. And kind of stepping into that space. But I think a lot of it is creating that space, and whoever you bring into that space, making sure that that person is someone that you do feel safe with. And so that has helped me in finding peace in that sense.
Yes, yes. Thank you for sharing a little more about that. Yeah, just a quick example, then I hand it to Crystal. I had my workout today, and there's one exercise where, I've come to realize that typically, even though I'm mostly using my arms, I ought to be engaging my core and the lower part of my body. And I've never been able to get that connected and hooked up. And I realized, some weeks ago that I think the positioning of it is it's evoking stuff from my early trauma. And that's part of why I have trouble connecting all that. And so I spoke it out loud today. And I was consciously aware of it as I was starting the exercise, and I wanted to put more attention on my legs. And I just started to feel the slightest bit of connection starting to go down into my core. And so I think, again, it's just letting myself be in peace with what is, like accepting that this is here and, embracing all of me, and that this is here is part of my way flowing through this and to new openings. Good, Crystal.
Paige, some stuff came up while you were talking, information that came to me, and I don't know if you feel like this is a format where you would want to hear anything. So I don't want to say anything unless you are comfortable with me sharing that information.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. I see that, you do Reiki work and stuff like that. When you were speaking, what was coming up for me is your emotional body has some damage to it. So if you could work with a practitioner, it looks like doing some sounding or the bowls, as well as some soul retrieval stuff to help heal the emotional. I see some nice, deep, lovely indigo. You're bringing in the higher energy and it is healing it, but there's still some residual stuff and it just feels sticky and kind of thick. And it feels like sometimes it gets in your way because it's almost like bouncing off this kind of membrane-y sort of not your energy. And it looks like that can also sometimes create some depression or some heavier days because of that residual stuff that needs a deeper healing. So I just wanted to share that with you.
Thank you for sharing that. That's actually true. So I do work with womb trauma and womb healing. And one of the things that I'm personally working on with myself is erasing the shame that I have felt from what people have done to me. And that's such a big thing. And like you said, it is sticky and it's so heavy and it's so ingrained in us as, and I don't like to use the word victim because I try really hard to not let the aggressor have control or any input on my life, right? I try to disconnect from that energy of that. So thank you for sharing and for sharing that with me, because there has been a ton of healing. And like I said, I do work on that with other women and with myself. I actually, if I have a moment to share, I held a retreat, very casual. It was just to kind of practice to make sure this was something I wanted to do with my life, for a friend. And for 7 days, we went through her chakras and we went from her root to her crown. And every day we went through a different chakra and we did Reiki every day and things like that. And I got to witness her healing, right? All I did was create the space, but I got to witness her facing all of that trauma that she's experienced, which was devastating and huge for her. And the power that she showed herself to be able to even speak what had happened to her, which she had never said out loud. To watch her be able to speak that and take back the power was really lovely. And I think that's something that, as someone who has experienced any sort of trauma to themselves as at the hands of someone else, to be able to speak it, I think is a big thing. And I have trouble doing that. So what you shared was really, I appreciate it because it brought that into my mind. And I think that's a way I think I'm going to start working on that. So thank you.
You're very welcome. Also, and you're doing great work, because you're clearing a lot out of your throat center so you can speak your truth and you can say stuff out loud. But I definitely feel there's an angelic presence that wants to work with you to do this deeper level of healing. So if you have that connection within yourself where you can, like go in and say, okay, who's coming forward? I want to do this work, then they will make themselves known to you. And it just feels amazing, because it feels like you'll be wrapped in their wings, like in this incredible love, and you'll just be able to be safe and just let all that stuff slough off. And it just feels really super amazing. So I just want to say I have so much respect for the work that you're doing on yourself, and that you're using your experiences to also create healing space for other women, so that they can also let that go and begin to feel safe about spending time in their body again. Because to me, that's one of the biggest things about trauma, is then we no longer feel safe staying in our bodies. And so we walk around like trying to drive our car, like sitting on the roof of the car, instead of being okayed about being behind the wheel and actually being back in the driver's seat where we need to be. So thank you. Thanks for letting me say all that. Lorelei.
Oh, yeah, and I want to just collectively say goodbye to Yashu'a. I know you have to take off, so thank you so much for joining us. And right, and DoveLight, I know you had your hand up a moment ago. I didn't know if you still had something to share.
Oh, regarding feeling peaceful within your body, I think that's one of the most challenging ones in this society, because we are always bombarded like too short, too tall, too skinny, too old, too young, too fat, too this, too that, too that. It's so too much. And one of the most simple gifts that you can give to yourself, it's allow yourself space to see for who you are. I've been in the same situation when I was very young, my teenagers, and I came to this country. And the very first time that I was able to tell a friend about my experiences growing up that are very similar to the participant speaking, it was very freeing. It was very liberating. So that is something that will bring you peace. If you're holding like a secret or something painful or something that's taken out of your mind or your time, please allow a safe space to express it. You could do it through art, you can do it through journaling, you can actually talk to the river, talk to the tree if you don't have somebody who you genuinely trust, that you feel safe. But expressing it out loud, speaking out your voice, saying it to the air, it's free, because now the energy field is like a charge. It's getting like and when it's out, it's moving. It's stopping being the stagnation. It's out. It's moving, because if it stays too long into the body, it also can calcify, and that's why we get as symptoms of sickness from the big charge of these emotions. One of the things that helped me particularly to make peace with my body, it's again through ancestral. I have shared this before. Through ancestral healing, I was able to genuinely know and own the physical vessel that is our human body, with 9 months with the soul coming together to become one, to be you who you're going to be in this lifetime, has a strong loyalty and a strong love for yourself. So when I genuinely was able to see, feel, and understand, and even knowing that your body loves your soul so much, they're always doing the best it can to heal you, to help you, to make you walk, to breathe. I started to saying, oh my God, what am I doing to the poor vessel? What am I doing to poor body? It's not their fault. It's not their fault that people abuse them. It's not their fault that people beat them up. It's not their fault that people were screaming and yelling. It's not their fault people were throwing energies and dark stuff to death. It's not its fault. But because I identify with having a body, it's who I am, and I didn't want to be who I am because I didn't feel it was safe to be who I am. It took a lot of time to understand that I'm not in the same situation anymore, because being in my body will bring me back to the same situation. And I didn't like that. I was a victim. I definitely was a victim. No matter how many soul contracts my spirit signed up to learn what I needed to learn to help other people, I was still a victim. I didn't want that to happen. The moment you say no, it's not your fault. I was powerful powerless at that moment. However, being out victim mentality definitely will help you move forward, but you have to allow, at least what works for me, allow myself the space to know that it wasn't my fault, that I didn't want those things to happen, that I was a victim. But at the same time, it's different for everybody. Sometimes you need to cry, sometimes you need to feel, sometimes you just need to allow whatever without no judgment. Then to be able to move myself out of the victim mentality, which in my case was my fear to men. Fear to men, horrible to me, nothing to do with them. I was protecting myself at a form of love. They didn't work because I was detaching myself from everybody. But what it bring me peace, I can say with all my heart, with all my soul, and all my spirit, and it took me more than all my life, is to genuinely forgive myself for being in the situation, even though it was not my fault. Forgive my body, forgive this perpetrator, each of us, forgive them, forgive me in a soul level, and through my energy field to remove them out of my body, because they always come back and will go to my gut and I will get sick. I couldn't process the situation. So forgiveness in a soul level and a genuine level, when you are ready, or when I was ready, it was helped me to move forward from that situation. And it's different for everybody. So we have to honor the different stage that we are. And that's how I was able to make peace with being in my body, to forgive myself and accept myself. And through the power of the angels, I work so much with the angelic realm to be able to generally start seeing myself the way the divine and the angels see me, which is beautiful. And they see every single one of us as pure light, and the potential that we have to help humanity move forward and help yourself to be genuinely happy and move forward in this lifetime. I just wanted to honor that, because that's a little bit of my being peace in this body.
Great. Crystal, go ahead.
So Paige posted a question on the chat, and I was going to respond to that. Her question was, how do you rectify the distance between things that happen to you not being your fault and manifestation being your creation? I think that a majority of us that are here right now on the planet signed up on purpose to be here for the unfolding of this new age, for the healing of the divine feminine, and for all these legacy burdens that are getting challenged and let go of and eradicated. And so I believe some of the things that have happened, at least to myself personally, was for me to say, okay, I'm stopping it here. I'm not going to be carrying this energy. I'm not going to be pushing this on to another generation. I'm not going to perpetuate this thought form. I'm not going to allow this to be what defines me and say who I am. I'm not going to allow this to continue when any place around me where I see this happening. It's not going to happen. And I'm going to continue to speak my truth about those things and support others who are also standing to heal these tragedies and atrocities that we've committed against each other for thousands of years. One experience I had was my mother was an alcoholic and she never got sober. And she was very nasty. And about 4 months ago, she started coming around my space. And I was like, oh no, I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to have anything to do with you. But the universe was saying, okay, no, we want you to listen to this. Please just listen to it. Give her, I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. And what happened was, just the short version was, the energy that was coming through was not the same energy that she had when she was here on the planet. That whole shadow ego that she had before, that's not what was coming through. It was her coming through, and I believe she'd been in spiritual rehab for several years, because I hadn't heard from her for several years after she passed. And what came to me was, I said, okay, if you are asking me for any kind of forgiveness, then to make amends, you need to take back every single little scrap of nastiness that you did to me when I was growing up, because all the things you said to me, none of those were true. They were nasty, they were malicious. None of that was true. And I need you to take it all back. And I went to sleep that night, and there was a great healing that happened. And the next morning I woke up and I could feel this heart glow going on. And I realized that she had done that. And there was she got a lot of angelic and support from my other masters and teachers as well. But by having that realization of that's where she was now, and that she wasn't this twisted person anymore, it allowed us to have a release of a karmic debt. And I know that going forward, that side of the lineage that she came from, that healed a lot of stuff going all the way back by having that intervention and me entertaining her to come forward to me and to try and make amends. I think we do a lot of harm to each other out of ignorance, and I think we do a lot of harm to each other because we deny our divinity. I think there's a thought form that exists in the 3D that part of what we do when we come here, when we start to do our work, is we start clearing that thought form. We start stepping higher above it. And I believe the work that is happening that we see before us is so many of us are bringing in our higher self and the 5D to this plane, and we become the conduit for that change, and we carry that energy with us, and we become thousands of little anchor points all over the world of holding that energy and holding that higher vibration. The person who did what they did, they're going to have to answer for that. Spirit loves us no matter what. They always love us no matter what, but we still have to pay our tab. No one gets to a free pass. So those who are trespassing against others, that's on them. That's on them. We do ourselves a great service whenever we can, when we allow ourselves forgiveness to ourselves, that we don't blame ourselves for what happened, that it's something maybe that we'll never understand, because there are parts of dealing with the divinity that I know I won't ever totally understand, but I know that it's a greater, higher love that exists, and it's unconditional. And so I leave that on that person, and I do my best to embrace the immense compassion and unconditional love that comes from the divine when I can step into that place. Thank you for not putting the bear up and letting me finish.
Yeah, you're welcome. I've done that with some of these more sensitive ones. Maybe a general comment I'll say to some of this page too is, for me, I mean, anger and healthy anger has been so integral in all of this for me, in that when, like, before I let myself consciously realize what had happened, and then I'll just say energetically in some of the steps in, as I was first realizing, I had more of a crushing inside and a smallness, and I didn't know my value and my worth because I didn't feel it at that time. You know, you could say, like, I gave it away, part of my journey here, or it was taken. All the different words. And for me, being able to feel angry is a combination of no, and it's also such a yes for me at the same time. And so they're both happening. And so my healing had a physical expression of anger outwards. And in a supportive environment, I was in a group experience. And so for me, it's so important that people experience that type of anger before they forgive. Because for me, forgiveness also gets layered on top of the lack of the expression of the anger. And it's not anger only towards the individuals that were directly involved. It's the individuals that were not protecting me, that were not protecting the others involved too. To me, there's a healthy place, not an aggression of pushing them down, simply the anger of, again, it's the yes for me and the no to them of I deserved better than what you did. And that's how, for me, I don't have any kind of collapse and crush and victim. I can say that this happened to me. My being came here, and this is the pathway of my experience and my learning. And if I can be in the whoosh, then I don't have a collapse and I don't feel caught in a place of victim. While I don't blame myself for it at the same time, it's my pathway, and it's the how can I be with what's here. And for me, that's the healthy expression of how to be with it, to be with myself.
Thank you both for explaining kind of how you find that difference there. I think, you know, with the sexual trauma I've experienced, it's definitely been difficult. But when I found out we were losing our son and going through that experience of him dying, a big thing afterwards was that question, you know, like, did I call this in? Is this part of like a cycle, or did, you know, right? I found that truth for myself. But I've always found it hard to put into words how I created that distance, because I do believe, like we've been talking, you know, we call things in, our words call things in, our, you know, all of this. But it's very interesting moving through this world and searching for that inner peace, searching for peace outside of us as well, and recognizing the responsibility of how we move through the world, and the capability that we have to create these beautiful, wonderful, soul-driven lives, but then also having things happen to us externally and being like, wait, you know, like wasn't part of the life that I wanted. You know, I wanted this beautiful, peaceful life, and then these things will just hit you. And I think I'm hoping, you know, more in with what you guys said helps, but kind of figuring out how to put that into words. How do you make sure to tell someone and tell yourself, you know, like what happened to you wasn't part of your plan. That doesn't mean that you called that in or that you deserved it, or, you know, in any sort of way. But also just recognizing too that, you know, from that point forward, you can create beauty as, you know, as you feel what you're feeling and go through all those emotions. And one thing you said, Laureli, was the healthy anger. And that anger was the hardest emotion for me to feel, and always has been, because I always felt like I was being rude to whoever I was being angry to, because that's what I grew up with. There's that narrative. Don't be mean, you know, don't be rude, even when, you know, you feel that anger. But I've found such peace when I feel sadness, which has been an interesting part of my journey. And I think you can find peace in those emotions, like you said, when you recognize that like you're deserving to feel them. And that's just kind of what I wanted to mention. But thank you to you both for answering.
Yeah. And well, so many different things. A few of you had maybe hands up too that they're back down. So I just want to make sure everyone has a chance. Go ahead, Crystal.
I want to just clarify that I don't think anybody deserves any kind of abuse or maltreatment or anything like that. I do know that the abusers that I've encountered that have been part of my life, and also that I've encountered, you know, from my parents, but also that I've encountered later on, most of them were so damaged to begin with that they can't even get in touch with their own divinity. Once we get in touch with our own divinity, I won't say it's impossible, but I believe it's so much more difficult to deliberately trespass against another person. But the people that do this trespassing, many of them aren't even present or conscious in their own bodies. When I was little, I used to say that their God is asleep. Their God is asleep within them. And I think it takes a lot sometimes to even try and break through the abuse that have been put on an individual, that they get contaminated, if you will, by it. It's really hard to step outside of that and deal with that. We don't have a lot of things in place to support that level of healing for anybody. And I think that's why we're seeing a greater rise across globally about the divine feminine coming forward, which is a level of healing. We have toxic definitions placed on men and women about what we're supposed to be and how we're supposed to act. And I think a lot of the crime perpetuated against women are a reaction from that toxicity. And I believe, again, as I was saying earlier, as we continue to support the divine feminine coming back into the picture, then that in turn is going to take the charge off of the toxicity and the narrowness of how men and women are allowed to express who they are while we're here. There's just such a huge wave coming across, all the way across the board, about no longer being willing to support the institutions that create this disharmony. And I'm really excited about the fact that we're seeing this everywhere. It's not just in one little pocket, it's all the way across the board. And people are no longer putting up with it, or they're no longer willing to support that kind of stuff anymore. And I think that's another reason why we see this polarity here as well, about there's those that want to hang on to the past, and then there's those of us who say, oh, no, 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 no. We can't keep doing this. That's the definition of insanity. And people are coming forward and saying, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm supporting the initiative of peace that's happening tomorrow. I'm going to stand for my neighbor next door when something happens. I'm going to speak up when I see somebody doing something that's incorrect or harmful. All the way around. When each one of us does those things, no matter how seemingly small, it makes a difference. It raises the vibrational level. And I think that's another reason why so many of us signed up to be here this go around deliberately, to do this level and start clearing everything off so that we can rise to our next spiritual evolutionary point. I believe that's what's happened. I believe we've hit that critical mass point and we are being moved forward. And there is a spiritual wave, if you will, coming through. And I think that's why you're seeing so many people trying to keep it in place and hold it, because they don't want to deal with it. They just want to turn a blind eye, because nobody wants to sit down and deal with the work it takes to do this kind of work. So anyways, I'll get off that soapbox. Thank you.
One of the ways too, and then we'll go to DoveLight. One of the ways that I step around maybe that habit, or I know, getting caught in fear of blaming oneself for what happens, blaming myself for what happens. Just from, again, the community I was in, a teacher perspective, someone in the community got cancer, and the person was so blaming themselves of, I'm obviously doing something wrong. I'm not open enough. I'm not spacious enough. I'm blah, 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 like that I've caused it for myself. And she was feeling that way, and then had the question of it, like, how do I not engage this with this teacher? Because our community is so much about ownership, owning our part in creating what happens. And I love the way my teacher framed it. It was looking at it from the perspective of what empowers life, what empowers our aliveness. And, to bring it to the context of, it's not your fault. We don't really know why everything shows up. And if thinking of something as our fault is clearly closing down our life energy and shutting down our life energy. And so seeing whatever happens in a way that empowers us and has us be more open and thrive more and more in alignment. And so, yeah, that's how I play with that concept. DoveLight. And we're getting to the end of our panel too, everyone. So your last few comments, go ahead.
In my culture, we don't have good or bad. It's more like denser energies, heavier energies, and lighter energies. But sometimes I use the word good or bad, so it makes sense in English. One of the things that has helped me to understand things that are out of my control is that you're not God, period. You are part of the divine, but you are not God. Who are you to think that you can control a soul path, a soul contract, if they want to back down? I had a twin brother with me. I was supposed to have a twin when I was born. And unconsciously to me, all my life, I always felt this sense that something was missing, something I was abandoned. I always have a twin in my preschool. My neighbors were twin. I moved to this country. My teachers were twins. My first crush in high school was a twin. I'm talking on a long distance with a twin. I have this partner. It's crazy. I don't call it. It's come to me. And I did have a twin in my mom's womb, and he didn't make it. And when when his soul started coming to make himself present so I could get healed of that feeling of betrayal and abandonment. He explained the situation why he backed down, because we didn't have it very easily, but we were meant to support each other. We were supposed to become support of service to the divine each other, and he didn't make it. And I was so upset because I felt abandoned. But then I came to the point when I realized, who am I to try to control a soul coming, or if the soul decides to back up because he feels before his highest interest to move into something else or do something else. It's a mystery, it's a diversity. Who am I to stop it? Or who am I to say you're meant to come or you're not meant to come? You know, that's only between that soul and the divine. So sometimes, even though the situation may be painful or very sad or very touching, and we don't know why this thing happened to us, but I know for a fact that the people who has passed through the darkest night of the soul are one of the most powerful lights in this world. They carry a wisdom they cannot be bought with money. They cannot be taught in a weekend workshop. It's about mastering love, about being of service. But sometimes we cannot genuinely know what it's like to be in that person's shoes unless we try it. And that, again, is nobody's fault. We are not that powerful. I'm going to think about a pink elephant and I'm going to manifest a pink elephant right now. No, it doesn't work. I genuinely believe that nobody consciously, it's called being raped. Nobody consciously want to get a car accident. Nobody consciously want to have cancer. Nobody consciously want to destroy themselves. Nobody will do it consciously. Now, the other side, it's a mystery. That's why in Native American, we call God the creator with the big mystery, because a part of our soul or spirit know that it's eternal, know that it's untouched, know that it's pure. But the physical part is going to get affected. But it's like a sandpaper, like the sandpaper, the challenging, the toughest things that happen in our life will mold us and help us to move forward, to master love. It's about mastering love. So I hope I'm making myself clear. I don't want to go too long because then I start channeling. I know we're about to close, but there are simple things that we don't have control over. And that's one of the beauties in this planet and the weird things about living a human life. Okay. Thank you, everybody.
Yes. Any other comments anyone else wants to share on finding peace and the way the conversation has evolved before we close up?
I'm gonna circle back because that was some pretty heavy and beautiful conversation. But yeah, to bring it back to finding peace as we wrap up. Before you go to bed tonight, if you feel called to, just to ask, ask yourself, ask your body, ask the universe, the divine, whatever, for a peaceful night, and just see how that changes your sleep, especially if you're someone that struggles with sleep. Just to ask for it, because so often we forget that we can actually just simply ask for things. We can ask our body, we can ask the universe, we can ask for, beautiful butterflies to cross our path, and, ask for signs and whatever it is. And so at the very least, we can certainly ask our bodies and our mental fields and, all that we are to provide us with a peaceful night or a peaceful morning, depending on where you are.
Yes. Yeah, I think in many ways where we ended up wandering was making peace with what is, making peace with what happens, with what shows up. Yeah, and how to flow with all of that. My words, but and some others' words from here. Yeah. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today, for finding peace, creating peace. And what was the other word that was used in the write-up about International Day of Peace? Fostering peace. Yeah, and some other people have posted some beautiful things in the chat too. Yeah, it's great. Someone posted about a poem earlier. Yeah, you are welcome for the great conversation. Well, let's all of us share again about who we are and where people can find us, what we do. And if you have a special today, and I put it in the chat recently, so it's in the chat along with some of our upcoming events. Who wants to share first? Just someone jump in. Go ahead.
Me and my East Coast brain, I'll go first as I'm getting ready for bed. I got bed on the mind, as you can probably tell.
It's great.
So again, my name is Karen Coccia, KarenCoccia, and I spell that for you because that is my website and where you can find me. And you can also find me on Facebook and other social media sites. So I'm a quantum energy healer. I'm a soul alignment coach. I'm trained in a number of healing modalities. And really, I'm here as a support and a guide and to hold space and to walk beside you as you figure out who you are and really guiding you back to your own power, your own magic, and remembering everything that's possible in this life. I have a 20% off special. The code is MeWe20, and that is both on my soul alignment session where it's really deep clearing and we can pretty much address any topic you'd like, or I have it on my Akashic record clearing, and that's really going to free you from the cycles that you might be stuck in, repeated stories that keep popping up. Ancestral stuff can be in there sometimes. So it has been such an honor and such a pleasure to be here this evening and to share this space and this stage with these other gifted, beautiful humans. And thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Karen. Who else wants to jump in?
I can, or go ahead.
Okay, sorry, I just got her down. So my name is Paige Altmann. I am, again, from Merkaba Awakening. That's my company name. You can go to merkabaawakening.godaddysite.com. And I do healing workbooks, healing workshops, and eventually I'll be doing retreats. Right now, I just have the workbooks and pre-recorded workshops on Etsy. So you can go check that out and find it on my site. And starting tomorrow until the end of September, all of my books, if you type in peace, will be 10% off. And my workshops, 10% off. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Paige. Who else?
I can go. My name is Joy Lee, and I'm an energy healer and intuitive. I work with hand mudras and phototherapy stem cell patches and do intuitive readings with oracle cards. And the mudras and the patches are both energy healing modalities similar to Reiki, and the mudras can be done remotely and addressing such things as chakra blockages, energy balancing, and release of negative energies, things like that. I really appreciate being here with everyone tonight. I think, sometimes the things we have to go through are really, really tough. And I appreciate everyone sharing their really deepest feelings. It's really a lot to go through, and very courageous of people to be in this field helping others when having gone through everything like that. So you can reach me at 805-450-7180, or at the joyfullove144@gmail.com. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Joy.
Okay. Remember, guys, peace begin with me. My name is DoveLight from DoveLightOracle.com. Please take advantage of my special. I'm telling you, you can, if you like what we heard here, imagine a one-on-one session, it goes deeper. Trust me. I have a free 10 minutes reading or healing session. If you send me the screenshot of your donation, because I have an event where I'm raising a fund for the midwives in Guatemala. So, but only for the MeWe community, because I'm gonna have like 100 sessions to do for free. That's a lot. Let's see. So I'm very honored and grateful to be here. Just find me at DoveLightOracle.com. And yeah, I'm happy. And thank you, Laureli, for allowing space online. I miss it so much. And blessings to everybody.
You're welcome. Thank you so much, DoveLight. I think Crystal is next.
Hi, I'm Crystal Novak. I'm a psychic reader and energy healer. You can reach me at openheartpathllc.com, or my email is openheartpathllc@gmail.com. My phone number for that is 425-610-6152. I get information. It just comes, it shows up, whoever I'm working with. It's the most pertinent information that you need to have in the moment. And my mission primarily is to help with healing. Because if I can give you some information that helps you change something within yourself, then your life will change, because that's the way energy works. When you clear it on the inside, it reflects out on the outside. I've been doing this for 40 years. I'm a deep believer in I can't give what I don't have, and I can't take you where I haven't been. So I am very devoted to doing my own personal work so that I can be a clearer conduit for the information that comes, and that also I can also be able to relate to situations that people bring to be cleared and worked on. Special right now would be for the rest of the month of September. A reading will have 20% off, and you can check that out at my website again if you'd like to. Laureli has posted this stuff over here in the chat, so you can find it there as well. It's been an honor to have participated this evening, and I'm very appreciative of the people and other healers that were on this panel, and also to you, Laureli, for creating these events in this space. Thank you.
Thank you, Crystal. And I'm Laureli Shimayo. I'm an intuitive eye reader, body psychology coach, and matchmaker. Read your soul, read the energy in your body, and help you be more true to you. Do you live an authentic life? You can find out more about me at intuitiveeyereading.com, matchmakingsoulmates.com. You can text me at 720-352-2434. And you can find out about all of our events here at MeWe Fairs, MEWEFAIRS.com. And we have upcoming events. We have this Friday, September 22 at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time. We have an intuition, metaphysics, and energy healing practice circle. We'll come practice with peers, develop your gifts, get stronger at your gifts, discover your gifts. That's free for all of the practitioners in the MeWe community to participate in. So you come, you might get to play with some of them, as well as your other peers that attend. And then I've got them in reverse order in my list. I see Saturday. Well, no, I maybe have my wrong dates. Saturday, September 23 is the Metaphysical Singles Mingle. So if you are actively dating and you'd like to connect with others who are interested in metaphysics, we will have a singles mingle where I combine my authentic relating facilitation skills with my matchmaking work. So practice connecting authentically with others. Sunday, September 24, we have our online metaphysics and wellness fair. We have about 20 practitioners. It's 4 hours. We do an intuitive panel where we answer questions for free from the audience the first hour. And then practitioners have lots of offerings in their breakout rooms. And on Monday, we have a drop-in mentoring and coaching group for starting and growing your intuitive business. Lisa and I do that together. And the next panel coming up is Are You a Starseed? That's Thursday, September 28th, so just next week. And then in-person fairs we have coming up in the Pacific Northwest. We are in Linwood, October 14, 15, and also November 25, 26. And between that, we have 2 others that somehow didn't make it on my list. I've got November 4, 5 is the BEPC Conscious Wellness Expo in Kent. That's in the Seattle area that I help run. And then October 28, 29, we're going to be in Ashland, Oregon. That's the first time in that city. So come see us in person and online at our many events. Thanks everyone for being here. Thanks everyone in the panel. It's a beautiful, lovely discussion, conversation, exploration, and deepening. And thank you everyone for being here in the audience and your shares in the chat and your appreciation of and holding space for all of that we shared. Thanks again, everyone.